afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Tripping Through Time. As always, I'm Andrew Cushon, joined by my co-host Alyssa Conley.
And today we'll be tripping through time to get to the bottom of term limits. Last week we had a vote at the end of our episode on what we should cover next, and 54.3% of voters selected term limits to be our topic for this episode.
Now, I don't know about you, but personally, I'm very excited to dive right into this topic. The voters have selected a perpetually relevant topic in the United States government, stretching all the way back to the Founding Fathers, and a topic that is still being hotly debated today.
Andrew, for those viewers out there that may not know a whole lot about term limits, can you give a brief summary to me, acting like I know nothing at all about it?
Of course! Well, the issue of term limits isn't specific to the United States. It actually was debated all the way back to ancient Rome. And that's our first stop, but I won't say any more. However, it's all about whether a public representative should be allowed to serve an exponential and unlimited number of terms, as in if a senator could just keep running and running and running, or if they have to stop at some point in time. Senator Robert Byrd served for 51 years, and cases on term limits even made it to the Rehnquist court, but we'll get to hear from him later.
Riveting stuff, truly fascinating. As of today, the president is the only federal position with a term limit, which is 2 years. Placing term limits on other offices is being debated, so let's hear what some of our friends have to say about that idea. Well, without further ado, let's dive right in. Let's set our dials to 123 BCE, smack dab in the middle of the Pax Romana, Rome's golden age.
Sounds great. And here we are, in the middle of Trajan's Forum, a bustling commercial center in the heart of Rome. Excuse me, you sir. Yes. Let me ask you a few questions.
Hail and well met! How are you today, fellow Romans?
Quite well. What are your thoughts on term limits, Mr.
Polonius. As you know, our government enforces strict term limits, while any member of the High Councils can run for re-election. They can't run again until 10 years have passed, guaranteeing that the government is run for and by the people, not corrupted by greedy old politicians.
Oh, I see. Very sad. And you believe that having a government run like this is the way to make it most utilitarian for the people?
Why, of course! Look at the Goths to the east, uncivilized tribes with chiefs for life, not by election, but by birth. Have they built roads with material I'd wager will be envied in 2,000 years? Have they built great monuments like this tower depicting the illustrious life of Emperor Trajan? Can they pipe water to a city from hundreds of miles away? I rest my case.
You certainly make a compelling argument. With that, we have to be going because we only have a limited time slot. Adios!
Time slot? What? Adios? What language is that? Wait! Are you a plebeian or a patrician? Sir!
Here we find ourselves outside the New York home of Founding Father James Madison, who tonight is joined by compatriot Alexander Hamilton as they discuss the success of the Federalist Papers in the year 1788.
Ding dong.
Why, hello, Mr. Madison. What a great pleasure it is to see you again.
Hello, Mr. Cushon. I see you've returned from your travels. Where was it you went again? France?
Something like that. Anyways, Mr. Madison, my colleague and I were wondering if we could ask you and your compatriot, Mr. Hamilton, about the Federalist Papers.
Does he come on in? Alex brought way too much brandy. You can't drink alone.
Thank you.
So, gentlemen, loved your work on the Federalist Papers, but concerning the new Constitution...
Such a marvelous thing, isn't it, darling?
Yes, incredible, actually. But in regards to the term limits for public servants, what do you all think? Should we have them?
What do you think, Mr. Madison?
If you really knew the Federalist Papers, my dear, then you know that the Federalist 53, I belittled them for not allowing elected persons enough time to properly make changes they were unable to enact.
And that I, in Federalist 72, opposed them for not allowing any seasoned veteran to hold office who garnered experience in the best way possible by serving in said office.
So, gentlemen, correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is that you're very much against term limits.
Yes.
Splendid. Well, thank you so much for the drinks, Mr. Madison, Mr. Hamilton, but I cannot be driving under the influence, so I will be calling it tonight.
Yes, I would recommend staying off the roads in an impaired state.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
All right, well, it's time for us to be going. We'll be sure to stop by sometime before 1804 to see you, Mr. Hamilton.
What happens in 1804?
Don't worry
That seems
about
such
it.
an arbitrary date.
It's fine. It's fine.
Don't worry about it.
Thank you.
Crazy drunk driver.
Nice thinking, get us out of there so fast. What's our next stop?
Washington, D.C., Christmas Eve, 1944.
I've always wanted to meet the great American dictator.
Just don't call him that to his face.
How's it going, sweetie? We're here to see Mr. Roosevelt, and we don't have an appointment, but we know about the wheelchair.
Okay, Mr. Roosevelt, we'll see you now.
Good evening. What can I do for you?
Hello. Now look, Mr. Roosevelt. Wheels, can I call you Wheels? No? Okay, I don't know why I thought I would ask that question. Anyways, we're here for just one quick question, not the Wheels one. So we know you're probably occupied and kind of all night, so we just have one question.
Okay, what is it?
What are your thoughts on term limits, sir?
Never heard of him.
But surely the thought of them has crossed your mind at some point when you became the first president to break the legal precedent of, not legal precedent, but just a informal amendment precedent established by Washington of 2 terms.
It might have been brought up once or twice here and there, but I didn't think it was that important because, the people chose me. And it's not like I just walked in right here and I just said, the presidency's mine. It's not like that, so.
Fair play, but do you have any objections to limiting terms if, say, an incumbent was corrupted?
Oh, not at all. But there's no danger of that here because even if absolute power corrupts absolutely, I cannot be absolutely corrupted.
Oh, wow, good one, Mr. President. Very original. I'm glad to see that you're very much against term limits and that this visit really wasn't necessary because we probably could have guessed that on our own. But it was a pleasure. Billy Mays, he's got the OxyClean slot right after us, so we're going to have to dash.
What's OxyClean?
Oh, you know OxyClean.
You
Billy
know-
Mays here, that guy, big beard, you know Billy Mays.
Yeah.
Is he a senator?
No.
Is he a Democrat?
Maybe you have. Maybe you haven't seen it.
Republican.
We really, I don't know.
Third party.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm actually a member of the Billy Mays party.
Really?
Yeah,
Yes.
maybe we should get
We
going.
need to get going. So
Okay.
thank you, Mr. President.
Communist?
It's amazing. Hi, Billy Mays here for OxyClean, the stain specialist. Watch how OxyClean unleashes the power of oxygen, making tough stains disappear like magic without fading or bleeding the colors. For pet messes, OxyClean is a must. It goes deep down below the surface to get rid of the stain and the odors. It's the stain remover for the things that you love. Don't just clean it, OxyClean it.
Here it comes from the Bob Barker studio at CBS in Hollywood. It's The Price is Right.
And for our final stop,
Oh, thank God. You know they don't pay for mileage on this thing. The station doesn't. It's ridiculous. Oh my God.
as I was saying, for our final stop, we will actually be staying right here, just jumping a few years into the future to 1995, right after the Rehnquist Court's ruling on U.S. Term Limits, Inc. versus Thornton. A controversial case declaring term limits unconstitutional, of course. That ruling excludes the 22nd Amendment.
Real riveting stuff. And today, for you, we have lined up 3 guests. Mr. Howard Rich, the head of U.S. Term Limits, Inc., Justice Stevens, the writer of the majority opinion on the ruling in this case, and Chief Justice Rehnquist, who was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court at this time. And without further ado, let's head over there.
For your viewing pleasure, we've gotten them all to agree to an exclusive interview. Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Not too well, honestly.
Absolutely buzzing, thanks.
No, personally, I'm appalled at how the American justice system is failing myself and the American people.
Juicy stuff. So, Justice Stevens, let's start with you. Clearly, you were opposed to term limits,
Of course.
and just why is that?
Well, as I said for the majority, the court feels that imposing term limits violates the right of the people to elect their own state representatives, as it would seem that the states are electing the reps for the states.
Fair play. Very good points. And moving on to Mr. Rich. What are your thoughts?
Look, when I founded U.S. term limits, our goal was to root out corruption by ensuring that politicians that had overstayed their welcome and become fat cats off taxpayer dollar were pushed out of office, and working to move in new, hopefully pure representatives into office to preserve American ideals and values. With the ruling today in favor of the corrupt and greedy, I don't know how much faith I can maintain in the American justice system.
That's a very well-structured argument. So you're saying that the lack of term limits opens the door for corruption?
Not just opens the door, but inherently breeds corruption.
I see. You have very strong feelings about this.
Yeah, very strong feelings. So before Howard takes all of our screen time, Chief Justice Rehnquist, you remember the dissenting party, and would you agree with Mr. Rich on his stance on the subject, or would you disagree?
Ultimately, I can't say I'm as impassioned as Mr. Rich. However, I vehemently agree with Justice Thomas, who penned our dissent. Clarence said that if the people of Arkansas wish to vote to impose term limits, so be it. This Constitution is silent on this. Therefore, we have no right on precedent, to bar the act itself, no matter how we feel.
Very well put, Chief Justice, because if the people themselves are installing the limits, then they are governing themselves, and that is well within their constitutional rights. And thank you all for your time, and we wish you all the best, and we will now be on our way.
I really think that was one of the most informative visits of today.
Yeah, I would agree. Seeing the work of the Founding Fathers in action, their words being interpreted by the court, and the foremost legal minds of our generation, or, I suppose, the tail end of our parents' generation, in action, really gave me something to think about.
While term limits may be constitutional, I think that we can safely say that they would do more harm than good at this point. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, I think I would. And now that we're here at the studio, it's been a good episode for all you time trippers out there. And we hope you keep riding this high, and we'll see you next week.